5 seconds to go. Start. That in March 2006, the appellant and her husband were shocked to find that substantial amounts totaling to rupees 54,50,000 had been withdrawn from their account on different dates by the respondents. That on her request, the bank officers produced the records which disclosed that a check dated 30th December 2005 for a sum of rupees 25 lakh signed by respondent number 3 by forging the signature of the plaintiff had been encashed apart from the withdrawal of a sum of rupees 9 lakh 50,000 on 9th May 2005 and the transfer of another sum of rupees 20 lakh purportedly on the written request of the appellant on 27th August 2005, that the withdrawals transfer of these amounts were not authorized by the appellant but had been done by misusing the signatures obtained from the appellant. That after finding out these facts, the appellant lodged a complaint in FIR number 195 on 14 December 2006 against the respondents for the offences punishable under sections 420, 467, 468 and 471 read with section 120B of the Indian Penal Code. That the respondents were granted anticipatory bail in the criminal case upon their furnishing bank guarantee for a sum of rupees 50 lakh and that the amounts withdrawn by transferred to the account of the defendants together with interest at the rate of 12% per annum worked out to rupees 67 lakh 31,000 and that therefore they were filing the suit for recovery of the said amount. The case of the respondents in the first suit for recovery of rupees 10 lakh 48,000 was that they never borrowed any money from the appellant, that the amount received by them under the check dated 18th November 2003 was for the purpose of investment in a property which was part of the real estate business, that the payment of rupees 5 lakh made by them on 7th August 2006 was in full and final settlement of the claim after a compromise was arrived at the intervention of three persons by name Satish Kumar, Prem Raj Agarwal and O.P. Gupta, and that since there was no borrowing, the question of payment of interest does not arise and that the suit was liable to be dismissed. In their written statement of the second suit, it was contended by the respondents that the appellant and the respondents started doing real estate business jointly from the year 2001-2002, that they purchased and sold many properties and shared the profits, that the respondents never got the signatures of the appellant in blank papers, that the amounts represented by the checks dated 9th May 2005, 27th August 2005 and 30th December 2005 were towards the investment made by the appellant and her son in the real estate business, that the appellant issued confirmation letters to the bank which showed that the payments under those checks were authorized payments, that the appellant's son actually gave an affidavit both on his behalf and on behalf of the appellant, that in the said affidavit it was admitted by the appellant's son that out of the amounts paid under the three checks, a sum of rupees 30 lakh was given out of love and affection, that the appellant filed a false complaint as though the respondents cheated her and withdrawn money by forging the signatures, that in view of the allegations against the bank, the appellant ought to have impleaded the bank as a party to the suit, and that no money is due and payable by the respondents to the appellant. Before the trial court, the appellant examined her husband as PW1 and examined herself as PW2. The first respondent examined himself as DW1 and he examined as DWs2 and 3, the third party mediators, in the presence of whom a settlement was purportedly arrived at. The respondents marked a photocopy of the letter addressed to the manager of the bank bearing the signature of the appellant as Exhibit D1. They also filed the confirmation letter dated 2nd January 2006 as Exhibit D2 and the affidavit purportedly signed by the appellant's son both on his behalf and on behalf of the appellant as Exhibit D3. Stop.